to. Imaš zastavu, imaš vrata, ovo sve.
Poštovane dame I gospodo.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, dear media, thank you for joining us at the press conference. An important day for all of us in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I would go as far as to say it's an important day in Europe, the rest of the world. Today we are marking 25th anniversary of the Dayton Peace Agreement, which brought peace to this country. On the day, we had the honor to welcome our friend, High Representative and Vice President of Commission, Mr. Borrell. I'm grateful to Mr. Borrell. Thank you. It was upon our invitation from September 30th, during our visit to Brussels, that he comes today to Sarajevo and Bosnia and Herzegovina. His visit today adds importance to our today's date, the date being the anniversary of the Dayton Peace Agreement. We see this when it comes to the future of Bosnia and Herzegovina and its perspectives. We've discussed many topics today, but one thing is for sure. The future of this country is in European Union, in its membership. We have full support of the Commission, of the High Representative and Commission's Vice President. It's now in our hands, us in this country, to deliver on the priorities that were given before us. Hopefully after today's visit, after today's support, we will be able to overcome ill political climate, that we will overcome a cliche of continuous debates and arguments and unfruitful discussions, and focus our efforts to deliver on all 14 key priorities of the Commission's opinion. Thank you once again. That will be all from my side. Ladies and gentlemen, no need to repeat what has been already said by distinguished colleague Mr. Dzaferovic. I can only use the opportunity to thank Mr. Borrell and his team of associates. Thank you for coming to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Thank you for coming to Sarajevo on this day that is very important for all citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is not just a protocolary visit. This was a follow-up to some previous discussions that we had with Mr. Borrell during our visit to Brussels. For me, perhaps one thing that stands out, and this is definitely reaffirmed by this visit, and here I'm referring to the commitment of the European Union, of the institutions of the European Union, backing the progress of this country, providing the necessary assistance in times like this, but also in general on our accession path. It is my exceptional pleasure that we had a chance, given the circumstances, given the pandemic, to welcome the High Representative. Had it not been for the pandemic, I think we would have had even more opportunity. But thank you. Thank you, Mr. Borrell. Thank you for taking the time to come to visit Bosnia and Herzegovina and to say the messages that you've shared with us in the most recent visit to Brussels. It's an opportunity for the public to hear it firsthand. The chair of the presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Mr. Borrell, thank you once again for your visit. Yes, it was very important on today's date. Yes, it is a historical, and yes, I think for the whole world. It is a date that brought peace as a result of a political agreement reached on the political system that brought stability and peace and reconciliation, free from conflict. For many years, even decades, there's been no ethnically motivated conflict in this country, and this in itself is the greatest value of the Dayton Peace Agreement. But the Dayton Peace Agreement comes with many other values. One such values, the warring parties in this unnecessary conflict can continue working based on the fundamental consensus on the relations that should be introduced in a country that is multi-ethnic, multi-religious. That is why the Dayton Agreement is clear. This country has 2 entities and 3 constituent peoples, and this in itself is the starting point for any future agreement. If this is to be disregarded, if we are to go ahead with some abstract discussion on citizens, there will be no long-term results. This was one thing that we've discussed, and we continue discussing internally. We do face many challenges. We do face challenges when it comes to our different attitudes towards the Dayton agreements. For example, Republika Srpska for the last 2 decades has been marking this day as its national holiday. It's a non-working day in Republika Srpska, but this is not the case in the Federation. We have different views. But one thing that brings us together is this possibility to install peace. Another thing that brings us together is commitment to the EU issues. All these are important achievements. We are definitely interested to continue, and hopefully you will do also whatever you can to help us have the candidate status next year. This would add new dynamic to our relations. And we are grateful to the European Union for the assistance provided in the context of COVID and pandemic. Just to note, we are part of the joint procurement process for vaccines. We are trying, of course, to get vaccine from some other sources, just like any country, other countries is doing. But we would definitely welcome a solution with vaccines. Hopefully vaccines will end this plague of COVID-19 and the negative impacts on economy. Significant public revenues were lost as a result of the pandemic. We do have standing arrangements with the IMF and the European Commission, but definitely there will be a need for more assistance, for new assistance package to overcome the challenges that are ahead. So this is one thing that we should all be now addressing. Another problem that can cause major political turbulence is this economic crisis, economic impacts. Unless we tackle economic impacts, they will have their consequences when it comes to our political relations. So I kindly ask for your assistance. All member states are also looking up to the European Commission and its assistance. We understand what are the packages adopted at the level of the European Union to assist member states. Of course, Bosnia and Herzegovina is not part of this, but we have the same problems just as you do, or United States or any other country. Thank you. This is the day when the Dayton Peace Agreement was initialed. After 15 or 20 days, it was formally signed in Paris. And for us, it's very important that the agreement is signed in a European member state. And our relations continue to be built on the fact that important countries took part in this. We should not disregard the role of Croatia and Serbia, that were participants and co-signatories, and different levels of government, including Republika Srpska, all signed up to all 11 annexes. Thank you for that. We'll be hearing more from historians, science, and others, lawyers, discussing the Dayton Peace Agreement. Our focus should be on the EU path. But there's no EU path without the Dayton balance and the consensus that we have introduced as an integral element in decision-making system. Whether it's coordination mechanism adopted thanks to many of your predecessors and European Commission. We'll continue on this path. Thank you once again. I'm fully convinced of your good intentions. I'm grateful, although all of us should be bringing more to know details. Mr. Borrell.